Well, Houston, the playoff loss was tough, but damn, y'all are back and dangerous. How dangerous are they? Well, let's go ahead and take a look back at their 2023 season to find out. The Houston Texans enter the 2023 season with some hope, not for a playoff berth or anything crazy like that, but just to have hopefully finally found their franchise quarterback, their first one since Deshaun Watson. That was the goal of the season, to determine if this CJ Stroud guy was all he was cracked up to be. He was obviously named the Week 1 starter as one of only two other rookies to be named the Week 1 starter, alongside Anthony Richardson of the Colts and Bryce Young of the Panthers. As for the start of the season, it was not ideal. They had to go to Baltimore and they got smacked by the Ravens. Then they had to face rookie sensation at the time, Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis, and took yet another tough loss. But after this 0-2 start, things seemed to turn a corner. CJ Stroud was clicking with the offense, the defense was playing at a pretty solid level, DeMeco Ryans was finding his way, and they went on to win 3 of their next 5 games to end October. The only issue with this stretch, though, the 2 losses came against the Falcons and the Panthers. Not a great look for this team, but it was important to remember that they had a rookie head coach with DeMeco Ryans, a rookie quarterback in CJ Stroud, and a very young team as a whole. This 3-4 start was just part of the growing pains this team would inevitably have to endure in order to be good. And they got through these growing pains well. In November, they went 3-1 to improve to 6-5 on the season, with their only loss coming to the Jaguars, who were on top of the AFC South at the time. This is a huge boost of confidence, and they were playing really well when CJ Stroud was on the field. They also entered December with a win over the Broncos, but then disaster struck. Sitting at 7-5, the Texans were playing their Week 14 game against the New York Jets when CJ Stroud got knocked out of the game with a concussion. Most players, this would sideline them for a week, they would be missing the game, but they'd be back right next week. For most players, that is. CJ Stroud did not do what most players did. He was out for the next 2 games. In weeks 14 through 16, the Texans went 1-2, losing to the Jets and the Browns, and they almost lost to the Titans, showing the importance of CJ Stroud with this team. At this point, it was clear that he needed to be there if they wanted to play. If they wanted to play well, at least. And that makes them contenders. But without CJ Stroud, they struggled. When CJ returned, the Texans were at 8-7 with 2 games to go, and it was crunch time. The Jacksonville Jaguars were actively having a massive collapse, but the Colts were surging back to life to fight for that AFC South division. Entering Week 17, there was a clear 3-way race for the AFC South between the Texans, Colts, and Jaguars, and each game was critical. So how did the Texans do in this stretch? They got 2 huge wins over the Titans and the Colts. And pairing that with the Jaguars' collapse, the Texans ended up winning the AFC South and the right to host a playoff game. The only downside, they had to face the Cleveland Browns, who were perhaps the hottest team in the league by far. So how did the playoffs go? Well, the Texans absolutely whooped the Browns. Somehow they managed to make a huge win. They won 45-14 in the wild card round, and then they had to head to Baltimore because of the way the other games played out. In Baltimore, though, the road unfortunately came to a dead end as they lost badly 34-10 due to a strong second half by Lamar Jackson. So, how did the Texans do this season? Did they accomplish their goals? Well, I'll go ahead and answer that with CJ Stroud's stats. Stroud finished the regular season with a 63.9 completion percentage, throwing for 4,108 yards and 23 touchdowns to only 5 interceptions. This man was absolutely insane, and he proved that he is the guy in Houston. Not to mention that DeMeco Ryans had a good season as a coach. This team is set up for the long run as a result. And I honestly can't say one thing was really the one thing to go wrong for this team. They were just inexperienced in the playoffs. They had to go through these growing pains of having that experience in the postseason. Y'all are in good hands, H-Town, and y'all will be competing for years to come so long as you don't mess things up.